Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video series on the Korean War. I'm your host, Ron May, author, historian, and speaker on war history and the stories of those who served. During the last couple of years, I have produced videos on World War II at 80, a look at the final 2 years of the war. For the year 2026, I will take a break from World War II and look at other wars and those who served in them. Coming in December 2026, I will resume the World War II series entitled World War II at 85, where I will focus on the first 2 years of the war. Now, on to the Korean War, Episode 1. Often referred to as the Forgotten War, the Korean conflict began in 1950. 5 years after the end of World War II. The war started when Communist North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel into free and nominally democratic South Korea in June 1950. President Truman authorized U.S. forces to protect South Korea. This series of maps gives us a brief synopsis of the war. By September 1950, North Korean forces had pushed their way across most of South Korea and threatened a takeover. Only the Pusan perimeter was in U.S. hands by September 1950. 2.5 months later, advancing U.S. forces pushed into much of North Korea and came close to overtaking the communist nation. But the infiltration of 300,000 communist Chinese forces in November 1950, a force that would grow to 3 million, helped push the U.S. military back across the 38th parallel, where the fighting continued for the next 2 years. The conflict ended in July 1953 with a restoration of the two nations again separated on either side of the 38th parallel. Howard Bud Skaggs from Martinsville, Indiana, knew all about the Korean War. He watched nearly every episode of the hit television series M.A.S.H. when it began in 1972. The popular series depicted the lives of those working in a mobile Army surgical hospital. Skaggs knew the M.A.S.H. storyline long before the TV series began because he personally lived it as a wounded soldier in Korea. Skaggs entered the Army 3 years after graduating from high school. Following his training, he was assigned to the Army's Charlie Company of the 179th Regiment of the 45th Infantry Division. His company arrived on the front lines for his first battle with Communist Chinese forces on Thanksgiving, 1951. By his estimate, during his time in Korea, he was engaged in frontline battles with Communist North Korean and Chinese forces on 5 different occasions. It was the last occasion that gave him his personal M.A.S.H. experience. Skaggs and his platoon had been sent to the base of a mountain known as Old Baldy, or Hill 266, located in west-central Korea, near the 38th parallel shown by the arrow on the map. The hill became the site for 5 different combat engagements over a period of 10 months during 1952 and 1953. On the evening of June 24, 1952, Skaggs took off with 44 men and started for the hill. Only 4 of them would escape injury. The objective for Skaggs' platoon was to push the enemy Communist Chinese soldiers out of the trenches around the mountain. As his platoon advanced toward their objective, rounds were whizzing at them from every side. D Company had been instructed to lay down cover fire for the advancing soldiers. But as the men fired their .30 caliber Browning machine guns, the vibrations from the live fire caused their weapons to sink deeper into the sand, resulting in the rounds dropping dangerously lower to the level of the advancing platoon. Skaggs explained in an interview, Those 30s took out the lieutenant they had assigned to our group, as well as the radio man and the guy carrying the rifle flares. The flares were to be used to signal D Company when to end their cover fire. The situation was grave. While everyone was scrambling to take cover, Skaggs noticed a U.S. soldier sitting on the edge of a shell hole about 15 feet away. "Get down," Skaggs yelled to the man. The man turned and looked at Skaggs, but he remained frozen in fear. "So I went after him and rolled him over into the shell hole for cover," said Skaggs. "And that is when I was in the wrong place at the wrong time." While saving the soldier, Skaggs took a bullet through his helmet that penetrated into his head. A second round entered his shoulder bone and lodged in his back. He was completely paralyzed on his left side. Within seconds, a grenade from a Chinese soldier landed near Skaggs, and a piece of shrapnel from the explosion tore into his left eye, removing it from the socket. Not able to get up, Skaggs rolled his body away toward cover. Sometime later, he was placed on a litter and carried away as the Chinese aimed their mortar shells all around the men. "I told the men carrying me to drop me and take cover," Skaggs exclaimed, "but they wouldn't leave me behind." Skaggs was evacuated from the battle on an H-13 Sioux, a bubble cockpit helicopter seen in the M.A.S.H episodes. "I could look up through the shield and see the face of the pilot," he explained. When he arrived at the mobile aid station, a full-bird colonel was waiting to meet him. "Sergeant Skaggs," the officer said. "No," Skaggs replied. "I'm only a corporal." "Well, you were made a sergeant this morning. I just signed the papers." And with that, the colonel placed a Purple Heart medal on Skaggs's chest and walked away. Skaggs was immediately taken into surgery to remove the bullet in his head. "They wouldn't put me under because they were afraid of losing me," he recalled. "So they gave me a local anesthetic through my neck and did the surgery while I was conscious." When he was stable enough, he was flown to the military hospital in Tokyo for further recovery. While there, the bullet that had lodged in his back was also removed. Skaggs returned stateside for continued rehabilitation and was discharged from the service on September 30th, 1952, with the rank of a technical sergeant. While he had lost an eye, he gained something more precious after his return home: a wife. He married Twyla J. Bucklew on February 14, 1953. They went on to raise 2 daughters and enjoyed 49 years together before she passed in 2002. The Army found someone who could paint the prosthetic eye that they had designed and fitted for Skaggs. He received a new eyeball, courtesy of the U.S. Army, every 5 years after that. Skaggs had no regrets about his service in the U.S. Army, even though he had sustained significant injuries. "I would have made a career of the Army if I had not gotten injured," he said. "If they came to me today and said they needed me, I would get up and go." Howard Bud Skaggs passed away on October 29, 2021, at the age of 91. If you enjoy veteran stories, check out my World War II trilogy, Our Service, Our Stories, Volumes 1, 2, and 3. The books are available for purchase on my website, ronaldpmay.com. To contact me for questions or to schedule me for a speaking engagement, email me at ron@ronaldpmay.com. Also, be sure to check out all my other videos on my YouTube channel at World War II History and Stories with Ron May. You will find a link to my videos on the YouTube tab from the homepage of my website. Please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Please share it with others who you think may be interested. See you next time for Episode 2 of the Korean War and those who fought in it.